Good morning, everyone. So, I'm not a very big YouTuber, so when I have somebody who comments repeatedly on my channel, I notice it, like, it's something that I don't even know how many subscribers, but I would be surprised if I had even 100 subscribers at this point. I do have one person who has followed me from my other channel, though, which I find highly amusing considering I didn't think too highly of my last channel. But this is somebody who does watch my videos on a regular basis, and I guess the last one really convicted them on the inside. And when I say convicted, what I mean by that is when you come across something that like a person or a thing or a concept or something that you don't live up to, like you see that it's a good standard but you're not achieving that, that's what convicts you. Like, it's you yourself doing the convicting, right? Like, you see the standard, and the standard, you just don't match it, and so you feel like shit about yourself, essentially. And so, essentially what's happened with this person is that they watch my videos, and they see something that I have that they don't have, and they want that. And I've experienced that for myself. I've experienced that with a specific person that I met one time, and they left me with this sense of, what the fuck do they have that I don't have? They were so at calm and at peace and just things like that, and I just thought, what am I doing wrong in my life that I am not where they are? And not that I wanted to be fully where they were, because they were a little like on the fringes, but it was they have something that I don't have. What is this that just makes them seem so alive, And my last video was about empathy and about what empathy actually is. And of course, I don't buy into the whole freely notion of empathy as, oh, me feels. No, that's like more akin to sympathy, where it's just like, oh, I feel so bad for you. Like, can I look at you while you're sad? Whereas, empathy is really like, oh shit, you're working a 9 to 5 and you don't have time to pick up your dry cleaning, but I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I've got plenty of time. Well, honey, let me go do that for you. You don't even have to ask. Or it's like, I went to the grocery store last night, because I work there, but I picked up some dinner for myself, and then I got a cucumber or something for my fiance, because he likes salads in the morning and we were out of cucumbers, so I had to go buy a cucumber. He didn't ask me to buy a cucumber. He didn't even have to communicate that to me. I was just like, we're running low on this. Empathetically, I know he'll want a salad in the morning, because I know him, and I've made salads for him in the morning before. And I know that it would be better for there to be a cucumber in that fridge in the morning when he goes to go look for it than not. Because I'm empathetic that way. Anyway, that's the very short sort of version of empathy. It's a combination of love and action. And conscientiousness. So, I want to read to you the comment that this person left. Because I think that my response to it, I would like to add a little more, or maybe talk about it a little bit more, but I want to read their response first. They say, your videos make me very sad because they are usually a call to be a better person, and that's something I rarely live up to. To be perfectly honest, on most Fridays, I'm usually in a competition with myself to see who can be the most horrible person. I don't really have empathy. I'm just a monster wearing a mask of a person who cares, and sometimes it gets so hard to hold that mask up over my face, my arm gets tired. I'm not evil, I'll never hurt anyone, but on the internet I can just let the monster run free, and it is such a wonderful feeling to do that. It's a release. Bottling up these feelings is so painful. Pretending to be the other person is so painful. This is a bad day for me to respond to a video of this magnitude. I will fail before I even start. There's so much to talk about. but I don't have the tools to do it. I'm sorry. And that's really common for somebody who... You have to learn how to talk before you're able to do it, you know? Like, if you've ever listened to, like, Jordan Peterson talk about his therapy sessions, he'll tell you it takes sometimes months for somebody to get through all the talking that they need to do in order to get to the point where they fix themselves, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a long process. I'm just so glad college is over. Assuming I don't flunk or get kicked out, I don't even think I'd go back if I did. No more assignments that somehow manage to insult my intelligence, and too much work and boring at the same time. No more being locked in a room full of people who hate me. No more staying awake for 36 hours at a time because I have to wake up early for an early morning class. And most important, no more time will be wasted on these assignments. I can make something that has value. I can make something that I actually believe in. Something I can devote the rest of my life to. Man, you say you're a monster, but you're pretty fucking woke, man. I would say that's pretty woke. Not wanting to waste your time on stuff that's pointless and useless. Yeah, that's a good deal. That's a good thing. I think you're a little hard on yourself, but I think you got your priorities at least somewhat straight in your head. When my dad was vomiting blood for the first time, my mother was at his side crying and trying to help him. I didn't feel anything, so the first thing I did was call an ambulance. I saved his life that day, and it wouldn't be the last time either. I'm sorry, this comment is cancerous. I couldn't have failed worse. I'll just go. That last paragraph, I don't even know what to do with, because there's so much that I wish I knew about that situation that it's like really hard to tackle it. It's like why was his dad vomiting blood? Why was his mother just crying at his side, you know, and not calling the ambulance? Why did it fall to the child to have to be the responsible one? There's so many questions I have about that situation. And then to finish it off with this comment is cancerous. I couldn't have failed worse. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, that is one hell of a comment. And really, like, without more information on that last bit, like, I can't really do much with that. The first two bits of it, though, man, it's just like, damn. Like, damn. So I'll read to you my response. And I go, damn, you've suffered some real shit in your life. I agree the whole university system is fucked up, and you probably would have been better off. And what I mean by that is better off without it. Going to some trade school or something like that where they weren't going to waste your time and they were actually going to teach you real skills, that would have been way better use of your time. I would say the same for myself, but I'm just destined to become a housewife, so the most I can say is I wasted over $70,000 of my parents' money, which is true. The university system is a complete sham, and what it does is it leads kids to act like this, to feel like they are not worth something, because they've never been taught how to create something of value, and that's what this kid is feeling right now. You know, I felt the same way leaving college. I felt the same way trying to find a goddamn fucking job. And the only jobs I could find were for $10 an hour, because a university degree is fucking useless unless you actually get something pretty specialized. I mean, this whole idea of university came up because at a certain point, only the really intelligent rich people went to university. That was creme de la creme. So if you went to university, it was a mark not of your intelligence, but maybe of your social standing as well. And then it became like, well, if it's social standing and intelligence, we want to make sure that only the most intelligent get it, and only the richest can afford it, or whatever. And maybe not quite that, but they were sure more based on, intelligence. Then it came that the U.S. government decided to give them money. And not just give them money, but to not be discriminatory. And what has ended up happening is that the universities know they can get money from the government. They know that the more kids they let in, the more money they will get, and so they just jack up the prices, and they put these kids who shouldn't actually be in university the way that it was originally intentioned, and they slow everything else down for everyone else. Like, the person who left this comment, I can tell is an intelligent human being who should not have been left in university alone for so goddamn long. They would have done better and learned more from reading the Bible, and I know that a lot of people are not religious, but you can find a lot of great things in there. But the Bible will teach you personal responsibility. It'll teach you how to work hard. It'll teach you how to face adversity. It'll teach you how to have faith when you feel like you should just give up and fucking die. And it convicts you, and it tells you how shitty a person you are, but the thing is that you gotta get to the point where you're like, oh shit, I'm a really fucking shitty person, before you can change any of that. Okay. So, I think we've determined the university system's pretty much a waste of time. I do believe that actions are greater than words, and I don't think that you are a monstrous person for having monstrous thoughts. It's better that your dark and monstrous thoughts see the light of day. Thoughts like that flourish in the dark and have a hard time existing when fully examined. People are really concerned about words lately. The SJWs, you go throughout myths and legends throughout history, and it's all about the danger of certain words and all these things. And it's like, yeah, words are dangerous, for sure. But I think words are more dangerous that are left unsaid. And I can't come to any other conclusion. When we live in such a technology age, the only thing I can think is put your ideas out there and let people attack them. Because when people attack your ideas, you're going to come to a position where it's either going to piss you off and you're just going to be like, go fuck yourself, I know I'm right. Or you're going to question what your thoughts and reasons for things are. Like, I have a huge problem with the idea of the rapture, considering that it's something that was created in the 1800s as a doctrine. It was not something that was prevalent or even relevant to the Christian mythology until some Scottish girl thought it up, and as far as I know, the whole theology of Christ is definitely not dependent upon the rapture. Jesus was like, I'm here to save you from suffering now, right? And the way that he did that was to be an example for us to follow. We have to embrace death. We have to embrace suffering. We have to embrace all these shitty, terrible things that tear apart our souls. But the thing is that if you willingly embrace those things, you can overcome them way easier. Whereas if you drag your feet and you're like, oh my fucking god, I don't fucking want to do that, it weighs your soul down. And it just makes it even harder. Okay, onward. You say you would never hurt anyone, but my guess that in some form you are hurting yourself. I can already see the negative narrative swirling around your head. I'm not good enough, too cancerous to respond to this video. Complete nonsense. You take in what I have to say and it convicts you. How can anyone be good enough when they're still learning what it means? So I'm going to go back to my own experiences here. I didn't know what the person, his name was Cody, just so you know, but he had something, I didn't know what it was, right? And I wanted to know what that was, but I had to see it first before I could, like, even figure out, like, where should I be fucking pointing my ship. So my suggestion for people who don't know, like, where they should even be aiming would be, like, find somebody you admire and try to figure out why you admire them, and then try to emulate that. Try to figure out why they act that way, and try to figure out if that's actually a good way of existing for you, and maybe talk to them and figure out what it was like for them to go through their hardships, because anybody you admire has had to go through hardships. That's just the way life is. And when we're young, you know, and I'm 25, I'm still young. I haven't learned everything yet. And this person says they're about to come out of university, so I'm guessing they're about 21, 22, so they're very young. When you're young, you don't have enough experience to know right from wrong. And I don't say that in a demeaning sort of, oh, you just don't know enough sort of way. No, it's more along the lines of, you haven't seen enough shit. You know, like, would I be able to make a firm moral judgment about Islam if I didn't know about their honor killings, if I didn't know about their jihadism, if I didn't know about the rape jihad, if I didn't know about the all the grooming gangs across Europe that are raping and murdering little girls? Would I have as much moral outrage against Islam if I didn't know that some of its adherents had chopped up a little girl and sold her as baby shish kebab? It's disgusting. You have to really see dark shit to know what light looks like. Because it's contrast. Everything is contrast from one another. You only see extreme light when you have extreme dark. If everything is all dark, it all looks the same. So you don't know where the light is. And if everything's all light, you don't know where the dark is. But it's when you have the combination of the two, where the good convicts the bad, that's when you have change. So it's good that you have darkness in your heart. It's good, because that means that when you go searching for the light, you'll actually be able to find it. I don't think you're a monster. I think that you are a child of God waking up to the light. If my videos make you sad, my suggestion is to do internal searching. I spent a lot of time sitting by the river just reflecting on the beauty of the universe before the realization that I was part of God's grand scheme. And I mean that on multiple different levels. I flirted with nihilism and atheism before I realized our universe is electric and that we truly live inside the mind of God. If you don't know what I'm talking about in this paragraph, I don't really care. It's more of a call to somebody who knows what I'm talking about than a call to somebody who doesn't. But the electric part, I'll just say briefly, look into the electric universe theory. It's a great fucking theory. It makes so much more sense than the current standard model of how things work. And I really think that it makes sense. And I think that's where our society was starting to head during the time of, like, Tesla, was to be more towards an electric universe sort of conception of our universe. The problem with that is that it's a little too useful, and that I think we would have exploded a little too fast. And I think there was a kibosh put on somebody like Tesla, who was absolutely brilliant and could probably see it all, but, you know, when it comes to electricity, of course. And he talked about wireless communication and wireless energy distribution and stuff like that. Astounding things that some things we only kind of do right now, you know. Life is hard, man, and it does not sound like you've had an easy life. And you know what? That's most of us. Most of us have not had easy lives. I am extremely privileged as a young woman to be living in a Western civilization. I am extremely privileged to have had my father for as long as I've had. Doesn't make my life Like a breeze, like I'm just flowing through. Like, no, I still have to struggle with my own hardships, my own suffering, my own pains. I recognize that, I'm not being beaten, raped on a daily basis. So that's good. But I also recognize that there are things in my life that were hard. My parents almost got divorced. I've had people die in my life. I had my 2 best friends from my childhood tell me that I was oppressive, and so I had to end my friendship with them. I mean, these are not things that, you might hear and they inspire a lot of, like, oh, sympathy and oh, my feels and those sorts of things, but that's not what I'm after. I'm after a world that is just better, like, there's so much pain and suffering in the world right now. Like, how can you look at it and not think to yourself, is there something I can do to make the world just a little better? Even if it's not a big thing, maybe just planting a garden or having a child that's actually a decent human being and isn't going to, murder and slaughter people. Because at a certain point, that's where we are morally. It's like the Muslims think it's okay to kill and slaughter us even though we do nothing to them. And literally, the Muslims would believe that we deserve extermination even without bombings and things like that. Just because we went in and stirred up the hornet's nest doesn't mean that they're not still hornets. I really don't like Muslims. Realize that in order to fix yourself and your life, you will have to go through more hardship. But if you choose your hardship, and you listen to that little voice in your head, and you learn to trust yourself, then all wounds can be healed. And I really believe that. Maybe not, like, maybe if you, like, lose your arm, that would be a little difficult to, like, get bad. That would be, like, some serious bargaining with God. You'd have to be like, God, please, I'm begging you, my arm, I need it back. And even then, he might just be like, no, fuck you. All pain can pass away, and your burdens will be lighter for the choice. And what it really is like, life is hard, and you're not going to fucking get around that. So the best thing you can do is to take on that suffering willingly, so that you don't add more suffering, mental anguish on yourself. Like, school's hard, man. And I'm glad you're done. And I understood, because, like, that last little bit of schoolwork that I had to do was killer, man. Like, there were times in my university career where I really, really did not think that I was going to get through it. But, I got out of that situation. And I got myself in more situations. And then when I thought that I couldn't do it anymore, I tried even harder. And I asked for help, which was hard. And I managed to fix myself. At least to the point where I'm at now, where I have good solid, steady job. I'm engaged. I am fairly happy with my life. So never think that you're not good enough for someone to help. You are somebody's child. Like, somebody birthed you into this life. Somebody cares about you. Even if your own parents don't care about you, even if the world seems like it's shitting on you, there's somebody who does care about you. And there is help out there. You just have to be willing to ask and look for it. And sometimes help doesn't come in the form of a person. Sometimes it comes in the form of you screaming at yourself at the top of your lungs, you are a worthless, horrible, selfish human being who deserves to die, and then crying and realizing that none of that is fucking true. life is hard. Life is really, really hard. And the university system doesn't make it easier, and a lot of times our parents don't make it easier. And our society, with how busy everybody is all the time, doesn't make it easier. So you really have to find time for yourself. You really have to figure out what your priorities are. And you really have to understand that even if you had like this preconceived idea of what your life was supposed to be like, it's not going to be that. No matter what that is. Like, I have this idea right now of this beautiful sprawling farm with alpacas and a garden and all sorts of things, and being wildly successful and having lots of money and stuff. A fraction of that might happen, right? Like, I might have some alpacas. Maybe I'll even have an alpaca farm. But are we going to own like 100,000 acres of land? No, probably not. My ambitions are probably a little bit too far exceeding what is actually possible in this life. And so, on one hand, I have my ideal of what I would like, right? Be wildly successful, have lots of babies, and have lots of alpacas, and make lots of money, and stuff like that. And then on the other hand, I have what I know is more realistic, which is like, maybe we'll have some land in a couple years that's like 4 or 5 acres, and maybe we'll have some alpacas eventually, and maybe over time I'll be able to build up an alpaca farm. And it doesn't happen all at once. I have my fantasies, but it doesn't all happen all at once. You have to work hard. When you're completely broken because the university system has broken you like it does so many other kids, it's the best option for somebody getting out of university. Go work retail. And I say that with a little pain in my heart and a lot of, it's gonna do you good. And the reason is that a lot of these kids who are in university haven't had to have a real job. They don't know what it's like to have to work through a hierarchy. They don't know what it's like to have to work through merit. And so the best thing that you can do getting out of college is to go get that experience. And to hit that experience like full force, and to realize that you can be a leader. Because 99% of the people in the workforce are lazy son of a guns who are there to make their buck and to leave. But if you go into a workplace environment, even if it's just Walmart, and you're giving it 110% consistently, showing up early for work, staying late, being the person who goes, yeah, I'll go run and get carts. I'll be the person who comes in on my days off and takes all that overtime. I'll be that person. When that happens, that's the type of stuff that they promote. That's the type of thing, those are the skills that you have to develop as a human being in order to actually go be successful. So, I don't know what your degree is in, but my guess is that you're probably not going to be able to immediately go get a job in that field. And if you're like me, you may not end up working on that field. The best thing you can do is honestly just go find some sort of retail job where you're working with people and talk to people. Like, work hard, develop your skills of working hard, which it sounds like you already have, but develop those skills even further to the point where you're just like, yep, hard work is second nature, let's just go get this shit done. Because I gotta tell you, like, when you hit that point, it's pretty magical to see somebody who just, oh, something needs done? Okay, let me go do it. It's astounding. And people really like that. And it's part of what has led me to such success in my life, I believe. And so, just go out, get work experience. Start to meet people. Develop contacts with people. Like, I have a lady who I went to church with for a long time who says that she has contacts in the with alpacas. Oh, I'm going to follow her. Which is what I'm interested in, right? I know that I have other people, like, I work in a smaller community, so I have people who come in regularly and see me, and they recognize me and stuff. So I know people, like, I know a former police chief, and I know other people who work retail in the area. Like, I have this, I believe her name is Jennifer. She comes into my store. Maybe not Jennifer. But she comes in my store, and she'll go through my line, and she'll be like, oh, hi, Courtney, and she works up at the Safeway up the hill and stuff, and she goes, yep, I shop here because it's way cheaper than where I work, and we laugh about it and stuff, and it's great. But my point is that the more you do stuff like that, you'll eventually come across a gentleman where it's like, you're having a conversation with this guy as you're bagging the groceries, and you're like, you do what for a living? That sounds really cool. And then he hands you a business card, and he says, you seem like an intelligent young person. Give me a call, or something like that, and maybe we can set up a tour or something like that of whatever he's doing, and maybe that gets your mind on a certain path, the man I'm with, my fiance, he is an IT guy. He works in IT, but his eventual goal is to work in water sanitation because you make a lot more money doing that. And that's something that his uncle did. Well, if his uncle hadn't done that and he hadn't seen the sort of benefits that would have come from that, then he himself would never want to pursue that sort of, path. And so the more you talk to people, the more paths you actually start to see open up before your face, because until you start having those conversations, you have no fucking clue what's out there. Like, it's one thing to be in university and to have a rough idea of, oh, there's jobs out there. You have no idea what those jobs are, what they look like, or what you're even going to be suited for coming straight out of university. You gotta have some work experience underneath your belt. And so, I don't know where this person is in their life. They sound like they're having a rough time. My suggestion is to just keep faith, try to spend some time figuring out what is good in the universe, because you really have to ground yourself here to make yourself successful. You really have to figure out what's meaningful in your life and to pursue those things and not to worry about what society says, because society can't tell you as an individual what is going to be best for you. And these are all things I feel like have been said time and time again, but as always, it's good to reiterate these sorts of things. I just want people to have an understanding about life. You can be successful. You can move forward with your life, but you have to actively try at it. And you have to accept that there is going to be suffering, and that all people suffer. And you have the opportunity to make yourself a better person. If you don't feel like you're empathetic enough, if you feel like you're a monstrous sort of person, work on the type of vibes you're sending out into the universe. Work on the type of vibes that you're intaking into yourself. There's a reason why I say spend some time out in nature, spend some time away from people. When you spend time away from people, you spend time away from it all, and you spend time in nature, just to yourself, quiet. Don't even speak to yourself. Your thoughts have an opportunity to actually sort themselves out in a way that you can't sort yourself out when you're just worried about whatever everybody else is thinking. So I hope this video has helped, and if it hasn't, I'm sorry that I'm so terrible and not good enough and cancerous. My bad.